Om Dakshinasya Samarambha Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryanta Smarya Guru Parampara Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaran Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Parijnanashrama Shri Guru Shankara Parijnanashrama Shankara Sadguru Keshava Vamana Krishna Panduranga Ananda Parijnana Guru Sadyojata Shankara Sadguru Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Vavato Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So after a brief introduction to Vedantadindimah, we started with the first verse, which is the Mangalacharana shloka. And now let us just read that, and every time when we start this session, we'll be starting with this prayer, which is the Mangalacharana shloka, where he said, Vedantadindimas tattvam ekam udghoshayanti yat astam purastat tejo Dakshinamurthy sannitam. So yesterday I said, in the introduction, as a Mangalacharana shloka, Acharya Narasimha Saraswati tries to take the blessings of Lord Dakshinamurthy as the very manifestation of that consciousness. And he says, all the Vedantas, all the Upanishads, what are they doing? They are revealing, they are proclaiming one particular tattva, one and the only tattva. There's nothing other than this. There is only one and the only tattva which is there. All the Vedantic works, in the sense, all the Upanishads, Vedanta means here Upanishads, are revealing or proclaiming that one absolute principle. It's not relative. It's an absolute principle, tattvam. What is that tattvam? It is that very consciousness, one and the only consciousness, ekameva advitiya Brahma, that which manifests itself into myriad forms. And here, taking the blessings of Ishvara, at the same time, he is also explaining that there is only one tattvam, there is only one thing, there is only one truth, which is explained by all the Upanishad, all the Vedantas, means all the Upanishads. Ekam tattvam, ekameva tattvam, we can also say. Only one thing. Does it mean that Vedanta doesn't talk about anything else? Yes, it does. It does talk about other things, not as the tattvam, not as one and the only content, one and the only adhishtanam of this entire universe, but Vedanta does talk about other things also, which are nothing but the manifestation of this one tattva. And the author wants that just as this tattvam, this Atma or this Brahman or this consciousness, which we call as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, has manifested itself into this entire universe. If you remember Bhagavad Gita, there also Lord Krishna said, Ajopi san avyaya atma, I, unborn, undying, I am that avyaya atma. That Atma which is all the time there, Avyaya Atma. But what do I do? Though I am that one Ekameva Advitiya Atma, I manifest myself into this entire universe. Prakritim Swam Adhishtaya Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, he said. Lord Krishna said, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. By my own Maya, my own Maya means with my power, that Maya which is associated with me, Avyaya Atma, though I am the Avyaya Atma, that Maya Shakti associated with me, I hold that Maya under my control. I preside over that Maya and appear in any form that is available here. It could be the Jiva, any form of the Jiva, millions of manifestations in this entire Jagat, and also what I call as Ishvara, what I call as my Ishta Devata with my name and form. Therefore, probably Narasimha Saraswati, being a jnani wanting to write this book, wants to invoke Lord Dakshinamurthy, who's the very embodiment of this knowledge, who's the very embodiment of this manifestation of this Atma, this consciousness. Therefore, what he says is, all the Vedanta, Upanishads, Vedanta, everything about Vedanta, all that Vedanta wants to discuss or reveal or proclaim loudly is that one Tattvam, the very content consciousness in which this entire universe exists. That is what all the Upanishads talk about. But since it is very difficult for the adhikaris who are reading this book and also to evoke the grace of that tattvam through my Ishtadevata, Dakshinamurthy, Dakshinamurthy as the Guru also, as Ishvara also, he says, Astam Purasta Tat Tejaha Dakshinamurti Sagnitam. Let that tattva, which all the Upanishads reveal, about which I want to talk about, let that tattva, let that consciousness, let that light of consciousness manifest itself in the form of Lord Dakshinamurti and appear before us. And we know Dakshinamurti is called Adi Guru. And what did Dakshinamurti do? Dakshinamurti was the first guru who is supposed to have taught this Atma Vidya to Sanakadi Shishyas. And therefore, Acharya Narasimha Saraswati evokes the blessing of that very tattva itself, that very consciousness itself. And he prays to that consciousness that let that appear, that teja punjaha or tat tejaha, let that light of consciousness appear before me in the form of, in the manifestation of Lord Dakshinamurti and give me this particular knowledge. So, with this introductory verse, which is also what we call as the Mangala Charanam Shloka, then we go to the actual content of this work, which starts from verse number 2. Now, from verse number 2 to verse number 9, this Acharya, Narasimha Saraswati, wants to reveal Atma-anatma Viveka. You know, that is what is the first thing which a mumukshu has to know. And to be an adhikari, he should be a viveki, viveka, vairagya, shamadhi shatka sampatti, and mumukshutvam. These are the four things which are necessary for a person to be an adhikari for this jnanam. And what is Atma-anatma Viveka? To know that there is one and the only tattvam, which is the Atma or me, and everything else is an object of my knowledge. I, the consciousness, is the only knower, and everything else is the object of this knower. And to make this understood very clearly, though we say that Vedantadindimah, the verses are very loosely strewn around, but we can, if we want, see that, certain verses, at least initially in the first few verses, we find that the verses are grouped together, grouped. And what we see from the second verse to the 10th verses, what is called as Atma-anatma Viveka. Now, what the Acharya does is here, we have the three things we see, isn't it? Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. There are three things. I, the Jiva, the one who is responding, the one who's interacting with other Jivas and the things around me, the things around me and the other Jivas which I objectify and transact, these are called as the Jagat. So I am the Jiva, the experiencer, the doer, okay? And there is a Jagat, which is the object of my perception. So I am the perceiver and the Jagat is the perceived. So the three things, the Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara, are condensed into two to make the understanding easier. And in the next 8 verses, that is from the second verse to the 10th verse, the Acharya here means, please remember, the one who is writing this book, this niddhidhyasana grantha, and trying to make us understand the most important truths of Vedanta or Upanishads. Now, what he says is, let us divide these three things which are there. There's nothing other than that. There is a Jiva, me, then there is a Jagat comprising of living and non-living beings, and then there is Ishvara, that which manages everything else. Okay, so here now the Acharya is dividing everything into a set of two. And with this, dividing the whole thing into a set of two, subject and object, he tries to give about 8 verses to make this Atma-anatma very, very clear. Atma means the subject, Anatma means the object. So this is a subject-object universe. The subject is the perceiver, the enjoyer, the doer. Right now we'll take that as, that I, this consciousness with this body, mind, sense complex is the perceiver, then the experiencer, and also the transactor. So what the Acharya does is, he divides this whole system into a set of two, the subject and the object. He calls the subject as the Atma and the object as Anatma. So that is the first teaching verse. Now the second verse, we will read what it says. Atma-anatma padarthau dvau bhoktru-bhogyatva-lakshanau brahmaivatmana dehadi iti vedantadindimah. As I said, every verse ends with iti vedantadindimah. Okay, means this is the proclamation of Vedanta. This is the core teaching of all the Upanishads. What is it now? In the introductory verses, what does it say? Atma, anatma, that is padarthau dvau. There are two things. Padartha means things. Padarthau dvau. Okay, there are two padarthas. What are they? Atma and anatma. Atma, anatma, padarthau dvau. Padarthau means it is the dual, dvau, two, dual, dvivachanam, okay, not bahuvachanam. So, what are they? What is this Atma? What is this Anatma? Now he says, Bhoktru Bhogyatva Lakshanau. Bhoktru. The Atma is the experiencer consciousness. And what is anatma? Bhogyatva lakshano. It is the bhogya vishaya, bhogya padartha. Atma is the bhokta or the bhoktru, and anatma is the bhogya. We can even call this anatma as the vishaya and atma as the vishayi. Vishayi, the experiencer of the vishayas. Vishaya means the object, vishayi means the subject who is experiencing this object. The object is of the nature of that which is experienceable. Experienceable object is what is called as the bhogya. And who is the experiencer? Atma or bhoktru. So he says here, Atma-anatma padarthaudvau. There are only two things in this universe. If you divide the whole universe, there are only two things. There is a perceiver and that which is perceived. The one who is the perceiver, the one who is the experiencer is the Atma, and that which is perceived, that which is enjoyed, that which is experienced is the object. So there are only two things, that is the subject and the object. And he says, Brahmaiva Atma. This bhokta or this vishayi or this experiencer consciousness or this doer consciousness or this vishayi is called as nothing but Brahman. Okay, now what do we see here? The very Mahavakya Vichara is dealt with in the second verse itself. So that experiencer consciousness in this body mind sense complex, which we call as I, is nothing but that Brahman. Now, Vedanta says, Mandukya Upanishad says, Ayam Atma Brahma. Okay. This Atma, this consciousness, this experiencer consciousness, which is within this particular body mind sense complex, is nothing but Brahman. Aham Brahma Asmi. Ayam Atma Brahma. Prajnanam Brahma. The knower consciousness, the experiencer consciousness is here called as Brahma. So Brahma and Atma are one and the same. Then what about this anatma? Here he says, Na dehadi iti Vedantadindimah. So, out of the Atma and Anatma, what is I is Atma. What is not I is the Anatma. Okay. How to understand this? Now, for example, what I experience is not me. What I understand is not me. What I transact with is not me. Correct? Let's take an example for that matter. Okay. I see the tree outside. So I am the experiencer of the tree. The tree is the object of my experience. Then, am I the tree? I am not the tree. The tree is an object different from me. I am the very experiencer of the tree. The tree is the Vishaya. I, the knower of the tree, is the Vishayi. The tree is the object. I, the experiencer of the tree, the knower of the tree, is the subject. Now let us come closer together. There is this laptop in front of me. Okay, I'm speaking into a laptop to speak to you all. Now, this laptop in front of me, I'm seeing my own image there in front of me, the laptop. But that image of myself is not me. This laptop with the image of myself. Myself means this body, which is there. I am the experiencer of that particular image. So I am not the image. I am not the laptop. Let us take one example. I stand in front of the mirror. Correct? I see my own reflection. Which of them is the real me? I, the one who's standing in front of the mirror and experiencing my own reflection, I'm the real, I'm the one who's the experiencer. Though the image is of myself, of this particular face itself, I am not that. That face in the mirror is a mere object of my perception. It is not me. Okay, so I am the bhokta or I am the vishayi, the knower, and that reflection is the object of my knowledge. Correct? Now I have this book in my hands. Okay, I am reading the verses from here, looking at this book. The book is the Vishaya, I am the Vishayi. This book is other than me. It is anatma, other than me. What I have in my hand, what I see, what I touch, what I experience is not me. The book which is seen by me, which is touched by me, which is read by me, that book is not me. I have a book. I am not the book. I have an image in front of me. I am not that image. I have a donkey which I perceive, but I am not the donkey. I think that should make it very clear. I have a donkey, but I am not the donkey. I have a book, I am not the book. Now let us come closer. There is this body. There is this body that I am seeing. What is this body? This body is an object of my perception, right? I can see this body not only in the reflection. I may not be able to see my face by myself, but I can see the rest of my body. I can touch my body. One part of the body can touch another part of the body. Therefore, I am the experiencer of this particular body also. Therefore, I have a body. I am not the body. That's what he's saying here. See, this is how Atma-anatma viveka is to be understood. And I'm taking a little longer time for these verses because, I want this to be very, very clear. Just like I have a book, I'm not the book. There is a body which I'm perceiving. Therefore, I am not this body. Incidentally, this body is associated with me. Therefore, I call it my body. Just like I said, this is my book, but I'm not the book. This is my body, but I'm not this body because this body itself, which I call as my body, is experienced object or vishaya. Who am I? I am that consciousness which is the perceiver of this body. Now let us come to the next level. We'll come to the Sukshma Sharira. This was Sthula Sharira. Sukshma Sharira I can't see. I can see this body like I can see other bodies. I can see it, others can also see it. I can transact with my own body like I eat, I dress, I bathe, or whatever. I transact with this body. Then how can I be that body? So the body, this body, which I call as my body, is an object of my perception. Therefore, na dehadi iti. Dehadi means what? This sthula sharira or this gross body, etc. What is the etc? Let us see now. So I'm not this body which I can see, which is in a certain shape, in a certain form, with a certain complexion, looks a certain way, born to a set of parents, living in a certain place. So this body may be me. But I am not this body. Then what is the dehadi? What is the other thing that I have to know? The Acharya says, next let us go to our sense organs, our indriyas, our sense organs. I am aware of my eyes. I know that my eyes can see clearly or they cannot see clearly. There is something wrong with my eyes. I can understand very well, though I may not be able to see them directly. I know that there is something wrong with my hearing, so I go to the doctor and ask what is wrong with me and get a hearing aid. Similarly, all the indriyas, all the dasha indriyas, I am aware of. All the sense organs I am aware of, isn't it? And I transact through the sense organs. Therefore, are the sense organs me? No. I am the experiencer of these sense organs, though they are so called my sense organs. When I say my eyes, my ears, my nose, whatever I say, that eye and ear and nose are experienced by me. Therefore, they also happen to be the objects of my perception, and I am the perceiver of these very set of indriyas, which I call as me or mine. Then let us go to the next subtler layer, the mind. So we went to the body, then we went to the physical body, then we went to see whether the indriyas are me. Now we'll go to the next step, what is called as the mind and intellect. I can't see my mind. Nobody else can see my mind. But I can understand what is going on in my mind, correct? I'm aware of all the thoughts that are happening, that are coming up. I'm aware of my fears. I'm aware of my doubts. I'm aware of my confusion. I'm aware of my ignorance. I'm aware of my ragas, dveshas, kama, krodha, everything, all my emotions, all that psychological order and disorder that is going on in my mind, including my emotions, there is something which is aware of. What is it that is aware of it? Can I call it then my mind? No. There is this me, the consciousness, the Atma, which is aware of this very mind. This very mind which it is aware of. This very intellect it is aware of. I say, I studied Vedantadindimah 2 years back. Now I don't remember anything. I am aware of my ignorance that I don't know something. I am aware that I know something. Yes, 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 I know that. So that means I am that something which is other than even the mind and the intellect, which is capable of objecting my own mind and intellect. Then who am I? I am that something which is other than the body, mind, sense complex. At the same time, I am that consciousness to which this very body, this very mind, intellect, and sense complex are available for objectification. Therefore, who am I? Am I the body? No. I incidentally have this body, which is the anatma. I am the Atma or that perceiver consciousness, subject consciousness, which is aware of this body. And I may say, I am so and so, referring to the body. I may say, I can't see clearly. I may say, I am ill. Just for the sake of worldly transactions, I may say, I am ill. I can't see. I can't hear. But the truth is, even I know that I am not ill. The body is ill. I am not only aware of the body, I am aware of its health also. I am aware of its illness also. I am not only aware of my sense organs, I am aware whether they are functioning properly or not functioning properly. I am not only aware of the mind and the intellect, but I also know what is happening in the mind, what are the thoughts that are coming in the mind. Sometimes I even say, no, 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 I shouldn't think of this thing, it is wrong, it is right. So I am even aware of what is going on in my mind. Therefore, what here he wants to say is, okay, Brahmaiva Atma na dehadi. This Atma, which is the knower consciousness, which not only objectifies other bodies, other things in the world, other objects in the world, but I am that consciousness which objectifies, very clearly sees this very body itself, mind itself, sense organs themselves. Therefore, who am I? I am the knower consciousness Atma. And what is this body, mind, sense complex? These are the objects of my perception, and therefore, I am not the body, I am not the sense organs, I am not the mind and intellect. See, the very introductory first verse itself is a bombshell. That's why it's called as, it's a niddhidhyasana grantha, isn't it? We have already studied this any number of times. I may go a little slow in the first few verses because I want this Atma-anatma Viveka to be absolutely very, very clear. When I say I am walking, I am the, Sakshi Chaitanya, or that consciousness behind the walker. Now I am speaking to you. Am I the speaker? No, I am the consciousness behind this Vak Indriya which is speaking. I am the consciousness behind this intellect and mind in which the words are coming out. I am the consciousness which is looking at this book and reading the verses. I'm not the book. It's very easy for me to say, I'm not the tree outside. I'm not you, another body. I'm not this book. I'm not this thing. But when it comes to myself, I'm not able to see that I am not this body. The body is also an object which belongs to an Atma. The sense organs, or these sense organs themselves, not somebody else's, which I call my own. My body, my mind, my intellect, my sense organs are really not me. They are the objects of my perception, and therefore, this body mind sense complex, which I call I out of ignorance, is nothing but an. Okay, see how just 3/4 of an anushtup chandas verse gives the entire Atma-anatma Viveka. Now I'll make it very simple. Maybe we'll do only 2 verses today. It doesn't matter. Let us see now. I'll give you another example. For example, I am this consciousness, okay? Now I'm playing various roles here in this society, in this, in my own house, okay? With, the context of my parents, I'm the daughter. Fine. So when I talk to them, when I interact with them, I interact with them with the role of a daughter. But is this role called as a daughter? Is it me? No. I am aware of that role as a daughter, the role that I'm playing as a daughter. The same me, when I interact with my child, I become the parent. Supposing I'm talking to my parents and I'm interacting with them, and suddenly my child walks in and I start interacting with the child, immediately my relative role changes from that of being a daughter to that of being a mother. What doesn't change? I, the consciousness, does not change. Isn't it? The same body mind sense complex is the daughter to somebody, wife to somebody, wife or husband, spouse to somebody, mother to somebody or father to somebody, a friend to somebody, a teacher to somebody. This body mind sense complex, the so called I, is playing multiple roles which are relative, which are temporary, which are changing. Any moment they are changing. One role slips into another role, and I know exactly how I should behave in this role, how I should behave in that role. I don't behave like a daughter with my own children, I behave like a mother. immediately I change over. I understand. Therefore, the role that is played is relative. That the player, the ultimate player of this role, the consciousness I, is Nityam. It is all the time there. I, the same consciousness, put on the Vesha of a daughter when I speak to my parent. The same consciousness puts on the role of a mother when I deal with my child. The same consciousness I put on the role as a spouse when I interact with my spouse. The same consciousness I put on the role of a friend or a teacher or whatever it is. Hundreds of roles I put on every day. Each and every role is relative. But what is it that doesn't change? What is it that is constant? That is I, the consciousness. The body changes every day. Its health changes every day. The sense complex change every day. Mind changes every day, isn't it? Everything is relative. It is constantly changing, including my roles. What is it that is there constant, permanent as the I? I know. I know now I am playing the role of a Vakta. Vakta means the person who is, okay, say teaching. I'm playing the role of a teacher. But I can't play this role for the rest of the day, isn't it? After this 1 hour, my role changes. But have I changed? No. I'm the same consciousness behind this role as a teacher. The same consciousness is there which takes up another role. What is it that is taking up the role? The body, mind, sense complex is what is taking up multiple roles and playing multiple roles, constantly changing. The body is physically changing, the mind is emotionally changing, the roles played are changing, the place where I am is changing. Everything is changing with respect to this body, mind, sense complex. Then how can I be that? I am not the world outside. I am not the other jivas outside. I am not this body, mind, sense complex also. Then who am I? I am that consciousness behind every body, mind, sense complex. I am the existence behind this entire universe. This entire universe. I am the one existence consciousness in which the entire universe is existing. Therefore, he says, Atma-anatmau dvau padarthau. There are only two things in this universe, Atma, Anatma. The I, the not I. The subject, the object. The knower, known. Vishayi, Vishaya. Anyway, you can use any number of paryaya padas for that. And therefore, starting from the world outside, from the objects of the world outside, I, the Atma, am not any of these things. That's why in Brihadaranyaka it says that I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, neti neti iti. Even I'm not even the body, mind, sense complex. I am that consciousness. Taittiriya Upanishad through Panchakosha Viveka talks about the same thing, Atma-anatma Viveka. So he says there are only two things. But for Vyavahara, when we are interacting with the universe, I do say, I am so and so. I am Sudha. Am I Sudha? No. This body has a name called that. But am I really that? No. I am the knower consciousness which knows that this entity is called as something XYZ. But that's not my name. That is the name given for the sake of convenience and transaction to this particular body. And what is this Atma? This Atma itself is called by Upanishads as Brahman. All the Upanishads say that, Yat Sakshad Aparokshad Brahma. Yat Sakshad Aparokshad Brahma. Ya Atma Sarvantaraha. This Brahman, this consciousness is the Atma in every jiva. So with this, the first understanding that we should have of this entire universe is that there are only two things, the subject and the object. The object can never be the subject, the subject can never be the object. If I know something, I'm not that which is known. If I experience something, I'm not that which I'm experiencing. If I see something, I'm not that which I see. You understand? So there are only two things. And a Vedanta guru, a very well known Vedanta guru, calls it as a binary format. He calls, Swami Paramarthananda says it's a binary format. What's the meaning of binary format? There are only two things, the knower and the known, the experiencer and the experienced. The knower can never be the known can never be the knower. Then who am I? I am that very consciousness, the knower consciousness, the experiencer consciousness, which is called as Atma. And this Atma, the knower consciousness, we use the term Sakshi Chaitanya Atma also. The very observer consciousness, this consciousness, Atma, is nothing but Brahman. So it is all that. I said that I am Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman. This Atma aham Brahma asmi. Prajnanam. This knower consciousness, Brahma. Okay, and when the Guru says Tat Tvam Asi, here the Tvam is not the body mind sense complex, it is the consciousness behind the body mind sense complex. That is why Bhagwan Krishna dedicated almost say 4.5 chapters, the first 4.5 chapters to Tvam Padartha. Of course, the first chapter is purely the stage being set up for the war and etc. Second chapter onwards to the end of 6th chapter, Bhagwan Krishna talked about only Tvam Pada Vichara, which means what? Atma-anatma viveka. Therefore, who am I? I am the Atma. The whole universe can be divided into I, the Atma, and not I, the Anatma. So this is the first verse. See, the niddhidhyasana starts with Atma-anatma viveka. To come to Vedanta, I should be a Viveki. I should know that there is something called as Atma and Anatma. I am not the Anatma. I am the knower Atma. I should know that. Therefore, he says that there is only one thing. There is only one thing called as Atma Brahman. Atma and Brahman are not two different things. It is that very consciousness existence, that very consciousness which call as I with reference to this body, is nothing but that Brahman, which is a consciousness everywhere. So now let's go to the third verse. Third verse means starting from the Mangalacharanam, this becomes verse number 3. So again, he comes to another way of dividing the whole universe into two. Okay, what does he say here? Jnana-jnana-padarthau dvau atmano bandha-muktidau jnanam-muktir-nibadhnonyad iti vedantadindimah. So he says, Jnana-ajnana-padarthau dvau. Now we'll have this first line also, padarthau dvau will be there in the next few verses. Till the verse number 10, there'll be padarthau dvau. The first talked about Atma-anatma padarthau dvau. Now he says, Jnana-ajnana padarthau dvau Atmano bandha-muktidau. Jnanam muktihi nibandaha anyad iti vedantadindimah. Jnanam muktihi, okay? Nibandhaha anyad. Now what does he say? There are two things called as jnana and ajnana. Knowledge and ignorance. Very closely connected to Atma and Anatma. Okay? There are two things called as jnana and ajnana, knowledge and ignorance, knowing and not knowing. There are two things. And what do? Knowledge releases a jiva from bandha. Knowledge releases a jiva from bandha. It releases a jiva, releases me from bondage. Anatma keeps this jiva in bondage forever. This is the meaning. Jnana ajnana padartha do atmano means for a particular person, for this individual, bandha mukti do. I am free. I am akarta, abhokta, nitya, shuddha, buddha, mukta, atma. I'm sure you remember this particular sentence. It has been used any number of times in the last 5 years. I am the ever free. I am the ever permanent. I am the ever existing Atma. Okay? This knowledge frees me from all bondage. Correct? Whereas Ajnana, that is, I do not know who I am. I confuse between Atma and Anatma. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, the beginning introductory Bhashya called Adhyasa Bhashya, he says, the very confusion between Atma and Anatma is responsible for all the Jagat Vyavaharas. Normally, it is not possible to confuse the subject for the object. We cannot confuse light for darkness. Light is separate, darkness is separate. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Where there is darkness, there is no light. Wherever there is jnanam, there cannot be ajnanam or ignorance. Wherever there is ignorance, it means there is no knowledge. So, jnana ajnana padarthau dvau. Jnanam is what? Muktihi. You see the second line and third line. Jnanaha muktihi. Knowledge is called as mukti. And what is nibandaha? Nibandaha anyad. Anyad means ajnanam is a nibandaha, a bondage. Jnanaha, jnanam muktihi. Ajnanam is what is causing us the bondage. Jnanam releases me from bondage. Ajnanam continues to keep me in bondage. Why is it so? Let us talk about that. Why does he say that? When I don't know who I am, I mix up Atma and Atma. That's what I have done now. I have mixed up. I say I am the body. That means Atma I and Anatma body have been mixed up together. Mithuni Karanam I have done. Atma Anatma Mithuni Karanam. This is my Ajnanam. Though I am that Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, who am I? I have degraded myself. I have brought down myself from Atmatvam to Dehatvam. Aham Atma Asmi iti. From there I have fallen to what is called as Aham Deha Asmi. I am the body. I have fallen from that I am that Atma, which is absolutely something which never gets lost. Atma is something which is not going to die. Atma is something which is never undergoing changes. It is the Nirvikari Atma. It is the Satya Atma. It is the Nitya Atma which is there forever. I am that Atma which is ever free. Aham akarta Atma. I am not the doer, I am the consciousness behind the doer. This body, mind, sense complex is the doer, but I am the consciousness behind that. Upadrishta Anumanta. We saw that in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. See, as we are studying a niddhidhyasana grantha, we should remember what we have studied in the past. Otherwise, it becomes another Shravana grantha. And this kind of a grantha is not meant for Shravanam, it is meant for niddhidhyasana. But I am making this, explaining it in such a way that, it partly becomes a Shravana grantha. So, what is said here that Ajnanam always keeps this jiva in bondage, Jnanam releases. What is Ajnanam? Ajnanam is also called as avidya. It's also called as mithya jnanam. It is also called as, something which is, mithya pratyaya, avidya, ajnanam, wrong perception. All these are called ajnanam. And what is my ajnanam? I am this body. This body is mine. Because of this mixing up of Atma and Ahankara, body, mind, sense complex, what do I say that? What do I say? I have brought down myself from immortal Atma to the mortal body. I have converted myself from the Nitya Atma to the Anitya body, mind, sense complex. I have converted myself from Nirvikari, Nirguna Atma to Savikari, Saguna body, mind, sense complex. And with this, I have developed Aham Mama. I am this body, mind, sense complex. This belongs to me. This particular body connected with me belongs to me. This particular property connected with this body, mind, sense complex me belongs to me. So, what has Ajnana given me? Ahankara Mamakara. And what is Ahankara Mamakara? Bondage. The day I start thinking I and mine, aham mama, it's nothing but samsara. That's why when Narada Maharshi went to get this knowledge from Sanat Kumara, he said, Hey Guru, I have learned that Atmavit Shokam Tarati. Atmavit Shokam Tarati. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. The Upanishads say that. What is the meaning of that? It means the right knowledge about who I am, which is called as Jnanam, which is called as Vidya, which is called as Samyak Darshanam, which is called as Samyak Jnanam. All these are the Paryaya Padas. Jnanam is called as what? Vidya. Jnanam is called as Samyak Darshanam. Jnanam is called clear perception or understanding. Knowledge is called as Aprokshanubhuti. Whereas Ajnanam is what? Mithya Jnanam, wrong knowledge. Ajnanam, wrong knowledge. And this Ahankara, Mamakara, because of my mixing up and not able to distinguish who am I really? Am I this body, mind, sense complex? Or am I the Atma, the knower of this body, mind, sense complex? This confusion has led me to Ahankara, Mamakara, Kama, Karma, Karmaphala, Janma. The cycle comes and goes and comes and goes again and again. I'm born, again and again I die, take up many number of bodies, millions of births I come and ever remain in this samsara, in this bondage. So what do the Upanishads say? Atmavit shokam tarati. The one who has the clear knowledge of who I am. Who am I? I am that consciousness, Atma Brahma. This body, mind, sense complex is nothing but anatma, a part of the objective universe. Okay? Nothing belongs to me. Even this body is not mine. I am only an observer of this body, the experiencer consciousness of this body. So when I understand this knowledge, when I understand who I am clearly, this jnanam releases me from my ajnanam. When ajnanam is gone, my samsara is gone. My wrong idea that aham karta asmi, aham bhokta asmi, aham sharira asmi, I'm the sense organs asmi, I'm the mind and the intellect asmi, all that is gone. And then this is mine, this person belongs to me, this object belongs to me, how somebody else can take it, this world belongs to me, mamakara is gone. When ahankara, mamakara is gone, When I see Atma as Atma, when I clearly see Anatma as Anatma, when I see the body, mind, sense complex clearly as Anatma, and the knower consciousness, I, the Atma, I am that one really speaking. That is my Swarupam. When I understand that, Shokam tarati Atmavit. Okay? All, what is samsara? Shoka moha is the samsara. So with this knowledge frees me from bandha. Whereas ajnanam, mixing up Atma with the Anatma and forgetting ultimately, I have only mixed up. I have mixed up Atma and Anatma, and ultimately I have got so deeply involved in that mixture that I'm not even aware what I really am. And therefore he says, Jnana Ajnana Padarthau Dvau Atmanaha means what? One, this knowledge releases me from bandha, it gives me mukti. And this Ajnanam keeps me forever in bandha. So Jnanam Mukti, then Nibandhaha Anyat. Nibandhaha means bondage, Anyat. Anatma binds. Atma releases. That means what? Anatma, the knowledge, that is Ajnanam, taking Anatma to be the reality, binds me into samsara. Knowledge that I am that Atma, I have nothing to do with this Anatma. This Anatma is incidentally associated with me, releases me from this samsara, shoka moha rupi samsara. That is what I call, that is what is called by Upanishads as moksha or freedom. Okay? Jnanam is moksha, ajnanam is bandha. So we can divide the whole universe into only two, Atma Anatma or Jnanam Ajnanam, the right knowledge and the wrong knowledge. The wrong knowledge binds. What is wrong knowledge? Confusion. The right knowledge, what am I really? Sorting out the Atma and Anatma clearly and seeing what I am and what I am not. This is Samyak Darshanam, knowing the reality of me, the Jiva, the reality of the Jagat, the reality of Ishvara as nothing but that very consciousness. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu, Bhagavan Krishna said. Seeing that consciousness as everything is jnanam, and there are only two things in this world, the right understanding and the wrong understanding. Right understanding releases me forever, wrong understands me, wrong understanding keeps me bound forever. We'll just read the next verse and then we'll stop it. We'll take it in the next session. Jnatrijnyeya padarthau dvau bhasya bhasaka lakshanau jnata brahma jagadneyam iti vedantadindimah. Now another way of dividing, two things again. Jnatru, knower. Jneyam, known. Like what we said, Atma, Anatma. The knower, subject, object. The same thing is said here in the fourth verse, which only says Jnatra Jneyam, the knower and the known. The subject and the object of the second verse is described here as the knower and the known. Only to make this very, very clear, to make this understanding very clear. So we'll stop with this here. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha अवस्था शांभवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ओम शांति 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 ओम तत्सत्.